Rise and shine, everybody. It's time to wake and bake with Craig Reed and Griff Martin.
It's the Stone Roadie Show, podcast 282. Action. Alrighty then, fellow Stone Roadie Nation. Looky here. My name's Craig Reed, a.k.a. the Stone Roadie, and I have issues with mental illness. That's why I have my co-host, the retired rocket scientist, and my co-pilot, Griff Martin. So what the heck are we going to talk about on this Wednesday, February the 5th, 2025, on this Wake and Bake the Morning Buzz, episode 153 there, Griff?
Well, I'll have to tell you a little story about our fishing trip that Gene Odom and I had, which started off great and ended up really bad. But also, in the end, was very good and could have been bad. So anyway, I'll go ahead and jump into it. And it's got a little illegal immigrant spin to it, which a big illegal immigrant spin. So Gene and I went fishing. He came over. I'd bought a door over in Inverness where he lives because I couldn't find one for my guest house where I live, and there was one over there. So I bought one, and this was last week, and I left it at Gene's house, and he said, "Well, I'll just bring it to you when I come. We go fishing." So he loaded the door. Not that the door has anything to do anything, but he loaded the door up and then brought it over and came, and he gets a little lost when he gets close to where I live because it's kind of crazy. And he has to go through an area called the Green Swamp, which is like out in the middle of nowhere. Most people don't even get cell reception. And so he made it to my house all right. We unloaded the door. I had the boat all ready to go. Went and got some live bait and some rubber worms and some hooks and things. And we were all set up, ready to go. Went a little bit early, got out on the lake. And then I videotaped Gene just for a little bit, which I'll put on the end of this here. Just like 10 minutes of our fishing trip. Wasn't any big deal because Gene was having a good time, and I didn't feel like I wanted to put a camera in his face too much. And I was having a good time too. So, and we started catching some fish. We would have caught a lot more, but you know, the old fishing story, I would have caught a lot more, but you know. But so Gene outfished me. He caught 2 to my 1. I must have lost 2 or 3. He lost 2 or 3. But yeah, it was a good day, and he took the fish, and he came back to my house, or actually we went somewhere to eat afterwards, and then we went to my house, and then Gene took off on the way home, and I kind of had him follow me out of town, so because he don't see very well in the dark with one eye. It's really hard for Gene. And when we were on the lake, it was dark when we got out of the lake. So it was like 9 o'clock when he left my house. And I drew a little map for him, got him sent off out of town. And then about 45 minutes later, I got a phone call from Gene, and he was like having a heart attack, and he was out of breath, and he was saying, "I need to call 911, but I don't know where to tell him I am because I don't know where I am." Well, he got lost out in the middle of Green Swamp out on Dean Still Road in the Green Swamp. And I said, "Well, what happened? Why are you having a heart attack?" He goes, "Well, I got jumped by a couple illegal immigrants out on the side of the road." And I was like, "Say what?" And he's like, "Yeah, man." He goes, he says, I pulled over to take a piss to figure out, you know, where the hell I was and kind of figure out because he was lost and he was taking a leak. And he said these Latin individuals pulled over and just jumped out of their car and just ran at him. And he said they saw an old man, but what they got was somebody who's an old man that knows how to fight, even though he's an old man, and they didn't expect. They tried to pick him up by the legs and throw him on the ground, and he kicked the guy in the face and said he kicked the other guy in the collarbone. And then he said while the one guy was down, he stomped his ankle. He says, I heard it snap. And then he said, then I kicked them in both their shins. And he said, that gave me a chance to run to my truck and get my gun. And he said that whenever they saw him go in his truck, and they jumped up and hobbled back to their car. And he said they knocked his glasses off so he couldn't really see what they were driving. And then they took off. Well, I told him, I said, calm down, man. I said, if you need to call 911, go ahead and call them, because they'll ping your phone, and they can figure out where you're at, even if you don't know where you are. I think it takes a little longer for them, but then whenever I found out what was going on, I kind of like told him, you don't want to be there all night till 3 o'clock in the morning, filling out some kind of a piece of paperwork with a cop, and they ain't going to find him anyway, and I said, but, if you feel like reporting it. And so he said, yeah, you're right. And so he got his truck, and I guided him, told him where he needed to go to get out of there. And he made it home, and he got up this morning and cleaned his fish, and he was in a better mood. But anyway, that's what happened with Gene Odom. So he might put something on Facebook. You know how Gene is. So if you see that on Facebook, him talking about anything like that, then you know what happened. And he'll probably blame it on me. Probably say I gave him the wrong directions, which I gave him good directions. But yeah, so stick around at the end of the podcast for Gene Odom before the shit went down. Another thing, Craig, I was looking at this Tom Snyder interview, and he was talking to this guy, and it reminded me of something. Well, it told me something I could tell you about. This guy, this was some time back, you know what he does? He's a breatharianism. He's into breatharianism. And you know what that is, Craig?
Matter of fact, I don't.
Yeah, it's called breatharianism. And what it is you just survive off of the air. You don't need to eat anything. And he claims that he gets all the nutrition he needs from the air.
That sounds like a mental illness.
He doesn't need any. He was skinny. You guys look it up. Tom Snyder.
It's some kind of a yoga or something.
Breatharianism. No, he claims that some lady, been living for 20 years like that. He don't have anything against people that eat. He just don't need to.
Well,
and so it reminded me of you, Craig. I figured
I'm not that mentally ill. You have to have some kind of nutrition,
Well, he gets everything he needs out of the air.
Well, yeah.
And they said, well, what about these people that starve themselves to death? How do they do that? If he goes, well, that's because they want to die. If you want to die, when you stop eating, you'll die. But if you don't want to die, then your body will actually become healthier.
Well, if that what you're saying is true, he could qualify to compete in the Guinness Book of World Records, because the world record for night eating is it's a couple of months, like 3-4 months, I think. It's a long time. Maybe not even that long. But yeah, you can't live without water for, what is it, 20 days or something?
Yeah, water's the big one.
Yeah.
But he claimed he don't need.
But
water either.
air's about 10 minutes at the most. Yeah.
No, I don't think 10
I
minutes
think
is.
some people can hold their breath for 10 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those guys that do that diving, that deep diving, I think they can go a long time. I don't know if it's 10 minutes, but yeah, without eating, that's about 20 days. I don't know, maybe a month. I don't know. It's
Well, that one guy on
more than a
Naked
month.
and Afraid, I think they had like a 3 month challenge there, but most of them were, I think, 3 weeks or something like that. And then this one guy's plan was he actually was fat enough that he was going to live off of his own fat. And he had this partner, this girl. And so he built this hut and he just climbed in that hut and she kept going, "Aren't you going to look for food and water?" He goes, "No." She goes, "Well, what are you going to do?" He said, "You see it. That's what I'm doing. I'm just going to lay here for 3 weeks. That's my
Yeah.
plan." And she goes, "I'm not going to burn any calories." He said, "I'm just going to hibernate." And so she ended up, I think she couldn't take it, man. She was starving to death, and he just stayed in his little hut. And I think he ended up leaving because he got lonely, not because he got hungry. He got lonely and he couldn't handle it. Yeah. And then one time I went out with this girl that I'd met on a dating site that I tried for a little while. And her daughter was on Naked and Afraid. She was showing me pictures in her phone. She goes, "That's my daughter." And I go, "I remember that one." And I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, damn, that's close to home. But yeah, that was a pretty good one, that guy. He was hibernating in there. But I used to like to watch Naked and Afraid. You ever watch it, Craig?
Yeah, I've watched that
And
before.
that show
I watch
Alone?
that Survival Man all the time. That guy that goes
Yeah,
out and
Survivor. Yeah, that's
goes off
good.
stuff. That's kind of
And then Alone was another one. But I think they cheat in some of that stuff. I think
well,
they
you know, they say they're out there alone, but you know, they're in communication with people. There's people that know where they are.
plus they look like they're starving to death, and then all of a sudden they break some lizard's big lizard iguana's leg and throw it out there in the woods and let them run up there and pretend like they caught it, and then they put it
Yeah.
on a skewer. But anyway, so Craig, how was the rest of your birthday after the podcast the other day?
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Yeah,
But, since we're talking about people wanting to lose weight, there was some guy over here the other day that said he needed to lose 11 pounds.
at your house?
Yeah, it was, he was like always, they're trying to figure out what they can eat. And telling the guy, goes, when I lost 80 pounds, I kind of logically thought that food is what makes you fat. And if I just quit eating, that's how I'll lose the weight. So, I intermediate fasted, but I was telling him about intermediate fasted. And if I said, if you just quit eating at 7 o'clock at night and don't eat again until you can, till the next day, it's 7 o'clock if you can, but 3 or 4 o'clock, and the more you fast every day, your body goes into a
Yeah,
different
breatharianism.
different cycles, So he told me when he got home, he made a big stack of pancakes. It was syrup.
You
And
mean that night?
well, he said he had the munchies when he left here.
I can't
Yeah,
believe
it saves
some of
that.
the food that these people that I see them eat, and I wonder why they're not bigger than they are.
Well, some people have a high metabolism. I've had friends that just ate and ate and ate, and then they were skinny. I got a couple of brothers that are like that. They both are just skinny as hell, and they eat.
You have brothers still alive?
No, a couple. I know a couple of brothers that are
Oh,
like that. Yeah, yeah.
oh, okay.
But But yeah, I had a good birthday. I'm still celebrating.
And you guys didn't finish off that skull, huh?
No, I'm working on it today because you know I'm mentally ill, and I still have problems. I say I was addicted to everything, and I quit everything.
Is that vodka?
Yeah, it's God, it's some kind of real good vodka. I don't know if it's made out of potatoes but it's distilled a bunch of times, and it's real
I
clean.
know, but if I had a choice to drink, if they made me drink liquor, it would be vodka
This stuff's about $60 a bottle,
because it's actually the less
but the
likely to
bottle's
give you a
cool.
hangover, and it's smoother than anything else, and you get a one quick hell of a buzz on it.
I bought it. I started drinking it because I wanted one of the bottles, and now I have about 10 of them.
Old Patricia Lynn sent me an email and she said, Griff, I felt sorry for you because you weren't toasting with Craig and Otto. You had that water bottle. And so I sent you a shot glass. And I said, well, that's nice of you, but
Cool.
I don't drink. See,
I don't either.
I drink, I used to drink a beer every now and then, but it just, I get like migraine headaches real easy. And all I have to do is drink a beer and I got a headache, like boom, when I bounced my head off the road, off my bicycle when that car ran over me, then I just get headaches real easy. And so I try to stay away from things that cause them. And alcohol is one of them. But thank you for that there, Patricia Lynn. I will drink some apple juice out of it or something.
I still got a gummy left here. I'm gonna cop me a little
Did
bud.
did yeah, somebody asked, did anybody make you a big brownie like last year?
No, no,
Yeah, how many how much how potent are those gummies there? Are they
the
homemade
cookies.
gummies?
Yeah, the cookies were good.
Really? You get a big buzz on them?
Those cookies were good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, how late did Otto stay?
He had to get up at 5 o'clock the next
Yeah, he
morning.
had to go truck driving class. Yeah, with that.
Yeah. He was all pissed off. He said he got up and went over there, and the freaking truck was broke. And it was funny. He was saying he's taking that class, but it's for automatic trucks, and it's another $1,000 to take a test for a truck with a stick shift.
Oh, you gotta have a stick, man. You can't be
And
a
I'm
truck
going.
driver.
Even I can drive it. I don't have a license. Never have had a CDL for. I had a CDL. I had a chauffeur's license, but that used to be, I think, covered trucks, but it don't anymore. You have to have a CDL now. But I drove those old Greyhound buses where you had to double clutch them, and you know,
Yeah, I had
just
my
learned on the
stint.
fly. Those things, man. If you miss a gear, back at them old Greyhound truck buses, if you missed a gear, you couldn't get it in gear. If you ram and double clutch, and if you didn't get it in gear, especially downshifting, if you missed a downshift, oh God, I was going down a hill one time, and I had the air brakes about exhausted going down a mountain in one of them buses, and
You never,
I downshifted. And, oh boy, my butthole was puckered
yeah,
over so
because
I
you
could get
can't
it in
stop one.
gear because I'd have been going on one of them emergency exits, truck
Yeah,
exits. Yeah.
right. But
Yeah.
when I had my truck driving license, I just had to take a test. I didn't have to take a course. I just took a test. And then I remember when they said my license was no good anymore because I had to take a course. But I just drove, when I was working for this warehouse a little bit every now and then. I didn't drive a lot. But
I just drove on the freeway, basically. I just pulled out of a truck stop and drove down the highway. I never drove a semi around town. I
I
drove
would
like,
fall asleep at the wheel if I had a job like that because
oh
I
boy, I
used to
drove so
sleep.
many miles. God.
I used to sleep in the government vehicles at work all the time, like at the launch pad when you're out at the launch pad and you're waiting, you're doing closeout, and then a lot of times you would just sit in the vehicle. And as long as you didn't lay down, the company didn't care if you slept. But if you actually laid down and made like a pillow and everything, you'd get fired. But if you were sitting up and you had your eyes closed and you were sitting up in your seat and the boss came up and you were sound asleep, you were okay. But you just could not lay down. And so the reason I'm saying that is I got some of my best sleep learning how to sit in a damn car in a car sitting up and sleep. So I had trouble there for a little while, man. After I retired, when I was going the road with Griff Martin, I'd be nodding at the wheel, man. Yeah, so I could never be a truck driver.
Oh boy.
But we have some comments and questions, Craig, that we can go over and like normal, and got some pretty good ones on the last one. And we'll go ahead and jump into those. And then at the end of this, you can watch Gene catching a fish. It was about a 2-pounder. We were fishing. We weren't catching much fish. And then I turned around and I saw a bunch of these bait fish schooling, and birds were kind of like landing on them. And I said, Gene, man, let's go throw out in the middle of those birds. And so we started catching them then. We started losing. We lost a lot. They were schooling out there. But yeah, it was fun. So you guys stick around for the end of the podcast and watch old Gene. And we'll jump into these comments here. LS Freebird says, thank you, Otto, for fixing that annoying beep. Which, in Craig's defense, man, how do you find something beeping if you can't hear it? He got a good argument.
I couldn't hear it.
I think if you
I lived in this office for that beep, and I heard it every now and then, but I didn't hear it all the time.
Wow, man, we could hear it.
I should have crawled under that desk and I'd have found it, but
yeah, maybe. Remember when I said, Craig, is that under your desk? And you were like, no. And I said, well, how? Maybe it's, and you go, I'm losing my buzz trying to figure out. You know how long it's been since I heard somebody say, you're making me lose my buzz? The last time I heard that was like in 82 when I was told a friend of mine, hey, there's a cop behind us and he's driving, and he goes, oh shit, and then that cop went around and he goes, damn, I lost my buzz, man. Maybe Cheech and Chong used to, I think they said about, they might have started that, right?
Yeah. My buzz, yeah.
And then James King, he says, Griff, you should be doing shots with Craig and Otto. No, man. Somebody's got to be freaking running the show when those guys were partying. I mean, we'd have never, who knows, we'd have been, oh my God, Craig might have gone off into a fat shaming rant or something, I had to.
Yeah, you control the show. The last one, I thought you were going to edit the end where you said, okay, let's cut it. And I kept talking and you were wrapping it up. I go, oh, I guess you're ready to shut it off. I kept messing around. I thought you were going to cut all that out.
Okay. Yeah, I see where I could have cut that off, but sometimes.
Because me and Otto watched it back, and I goes, I wonder where he's going to edit it. I go, oh, he could edit it here. He could cut it off here. And then we just kept talking.
Why not, This one cracks me up, man. Cheesehead, man, that shit cracked me up, dude. He goes, Craig looks like he's ready He's talking about whenever you were drinking on the last podcast. Craig, looks like he's ready to pee on the bus.
Ah,
Yeah, man. I think he was at that. I think he was getting at that point where he could have peed on the bus.
I was still asleep when I peed on the bus. I was dead asleep. I had to pee. That's what woke me up. But I had to pee so bad I couldn't make it.
Anybody who's wanting to know about what we're talking about, Craig got so drunk. That's how he got fired from Lynyrd Skynyrd for peeing on the bus.
After I went to rehab for him to quit drinking, I was drinking. And I was probably eating Valiums too. I was a mess. I had that hepatitis C, and I was eating them. I was doing that medicine or that interferon. I was shooting up that interferon and drinking and doing Valium. Yeah, I was a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one there, Cheesehead. Yeah, Craig looks like he could pee on the bus.
I didn't even remember it. I didn't even. I remember doing it now, but at the time, and they told me, they said, I get up the next morning, and they were all looking at me like, and I go, "What the hell are you all looking at?" And they go, "You don't remember what you did last night?" No. And they told me, I go, "You're lying. I did not." They go, "Yes, you did too. You peed all over the bus."
They had to hire a cleaning
Oh, I didn't
company.
remember it for a couple of days.
Well, what's that shirt TP sent you say?
Oh, if I didn't if I don't remember, it didn't happen.
Yeah, so there you go, man.
Yeah,
That's
there you
what
go.
she's talking about. And Gonzo says 25,000 for a new roof. Get a new estimate. No, man. Hey, I'm telling you, you get a roof in Florida, you're going to pay anywhere from 15 grand to $25,000 for a roof. That's no lie. I paid $40,000 for a roof on my last house, which I got a metal roof that looked like tile, and I just passed on the cost of the roof to the people that bought my house, but I got a huge discount on at that. So roofs aren't cheap, man, and and you're like laying in bed and all of a sudden it sounds like a freaking freight train on your roof, and then your alarms are going off in your house, and then you think you're getting mortared by the enemy that just invaded the United States, and then you go out and you find out it's just some damn Venezuelan immigrants, illegal immigrants on your roof. It sobers you up right away when you see them up there scraping. You know exactly what happened, that they got the wrong house. It's pretty clear they got the wrong house. And so I was just glad that I kept my cool and I stayed friends with them so they could fix the house. Because if I'd had to take them to court, I'd have had a blue tarp on my roof for 6 months while they figured it out. But maybe I'd have got $10,000 pain and suffering. I don't know. Probably not. So yeah, that's the deal on that there, Gonzo. Kimmy, Craig, I think my coffee creamer in the morning has made me gain 4 pounds. Well, I tell you what, I get some of that heavy whipping cream, and I put like a little bit of that in the bottom of my coffee in the morning and a little sugar in there. But it's just like Craig said, you just got to stop eating. Really, if you want to lose weight.
Yeah, stop eating.
Yeah,
You don't worry about what you can eat. Just don't eat.
Yeah,
If you do not eat, you will not gain weight. That's a guarantee.
Because that's what I did on the divorce diet. Whenever I was on the divorce diet, I didn't eat. I didn't feel like eating. And when you're trying to figure out how much you're going to come away with when it's all the dust settles, the last thing that you care about is eating.
Some people, that's all they care about is eating.
Yeah, I like that girl that had that hand with that engagement ring on it. And all those people were laughing at it, that post where Craig put that hand on there, and everybody's laughing. And this one girl who is probably fat, but she only takes pictures of her head in her photos. Because whenever they attack Craig, the first thing Craig does is he goes and looks at their photos to see if they're fat.
Everybody's fat. I mean,
Well, if you run
I
into
mean,
one that isn't,
I'll put up $100 bet with anybody that you can anywhere you go. 7 out of 10 women are overweight. Now, if you want to go to a gym or something, you might cut it down to 5 out of 10, but at least half of them are going to be fat. Now, if you go to a donut shop, there's 8 or 9 out of 10 that are fat going in a donut shop. Or McDonald's.
What about Walmart? How about
McDonald's,
Walmart?
you're at 7 out of 10 are fat. And,
Walmart. How about Walmart?
Walmart's 8 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And how about that
But these
one
people
video?
that say 3 out of 10, you're so full of shit. You're more full of shit than a goddamn Christmas turkey. He's just crazy.
Craig, did you see that one video where that cop pulled that lady over and he was searching her and he was patting her down and he was patting on her fupa and he goes, "What do you got in there?" And she goes, "That's me." And he goes, "No, that's not normal. Something's in there." And she goes, "That's me, I'm telling you." And he's like, "No, no." And everybody's going, "That's her fupa." But yeah, I could see in Walmart, man, I see a lot of videos in there.
God. If not obese, they're all overweight. I mean, you hardly see anybody that's don't have any fat on them. I mean, that's rare. You see some that are a little chunky.
How about old Zach Lane? Zach Lane, he'll say, "Pull over here, let's get a pizza." And
Well, he's a guy, though. I don't look a guy.
Well, but some people's their ability to eat anything they want.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he's got
let's take a look at Gary behind you. What do you think? He's got a little dicky do going on back there.
Yeah, Gary had a problem with weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right before he died, he was real skinny.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a couple times when he was Bob Burns, man. He blew up like a tick.
Yeah.
He was huge. And you saw him in that one first album, and his waist was probably like a 25 or something. I mean, it was big around as my leg. And then later on, he was like, he got a big.
Well, we were all fit in the 70s, but back then the food was different, I mean,
did anybody ever make fun of Ed King or anything and say, "Hey, fatso," or anything like that?
no.
You didn't even you never told Ed you didn't have a fat
No.
problem back then because you weren't a skinny man in a fat world like you are now.
Well,
back then.
Ed was only chunky. I mean, you didn't find, maybe one out of 50 people were obese back in those days. 1 out of 100, maybe. Obese.
And Craig, isn't there a picture of Ed King in a hotel and he put a pillow under his shirt and took a picture and everybody thinks that's really his belly, but he was making fun and he put a pillow under his shirt and him and Ronnie are standing together and he's got that big pillow under there and everybody thinks that's really him, but he had a pillow under there. Yeah, he had a sense of humor, old Ed, man. He was a funny dude. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of fat people back then, Craig. So
hardly any. Well, they had. That's when the freak shows were going on. Fat people were in the freak show.
And Billy Powell, he was kind of big.
Oh, he was little. He was skinny. God, Billy was skinny. When I got with the band, they were all skinny.
Yeah,
Well,
and then
Ed was a little chunky, but the rest of them are skinny.
Ronnie probably would have been today if he was still around. He'd have probably been heavy,
Yeah,
and you'd have been
probably.
calling him up
I
and
don't
making
know.
fun of him.
I don't know. It's hard to say. He was aware that he was getting chunky, back in the right when the it was Time magazine or whatever. He was in there lifting weights and stuff, and
Oh yeah,
yeah. When the
and you
when
were running on the beach. You were running on the beach with him too, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because I remember you telling me that Ronnie was wanting to lose some weight, so you guys started going running on the beach.
Well, we just ran on the beach. Just we went to the beach and we just started running.
Did anybody recognize him when you're out on the beach?
No, that we were no.
How about when you guys would like go around somewhere, like if you jumped in the car and you went down to the store to get, a freaking drink or whatever, and you went in the store, did anybody go, Ronnie, like that or anything?
No, not even with Alan. When I ran around with Alan, and none of the guys really. Alan
Nobody knew who they were?
didn't really. No, didn't really. Even no. I mean, I probably ran around with Alan in public more than any of them because I drove Alan all over the place. And no, we used to go into a lot of places, and no, it wasn't hardly anybody coming up for asking for autographs or
I'll
nothing.
tell you what's kind of funny is I'll be somewhere with Gene, and we'll be sitting there and he'll be talking to somebody and we'll be like 15, 20 minutes talking to somebody, and then the guy will say something, and then I can't wait to where I can tell him. I go, this is guy right here was in the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash. I like to get their expression, and then every time it's like they get this like look on their face, like what? And I say, yeah, he was in the Lynyrd Skynyrd plane crash, and Gene just sits there and looks, like, why'd you have to tell him? And then they'll go, you were? And he goes, yeah, man, I was in it. And then they're like, damn, because you don't meet too many people that was in a famous plane crash and lived.
It's a totally different. I talk to people, and I'll be talking to somebody, and then a little bit later they'll come up and go, "You didn't tell me you were with Lynyrd Skynyrd," and like that, and they'll go, and their attitude toward me from the first time to the second time is totally different, just because they know I worked for Lynyrd Skynyrd. If I just kind of am talking to somebody somewhere, and I just, somebody will say, "Hey, I saw you were talking to that guy Craig Reed from Lynyrd Skynyrd. He was with Lynyrd Skynyrd." I
Yeah,
didn't know that. He didn't tell me that.
because Lynyrd Skynyrd is like one of the most amazing rock bands. What an amazing story that about Lynyrd Skynyrd. They became from rags to riches, and they were hellraisers, and they get in a plane crash, and then their lead singer and other band members die, and then there's a period of time that goes by, and everybody's wondering, wow, will we ever see him again? And then all of a sudden they make this comeback, and everybody's in the band, and they got Ronnie's brother to replace him, and then they want to know, wow, they're going to make new music, and then of course, you get Rossington Collins and then the Alan Collins band. It was just a really crazy story.
That's supposed to be one of the top three, anyways, most famous plane crashes of all time.
I'd have to say, yeah, at least.
Um,
Patricia Lynn, she says, was that the mentally ill automotive birthday special?
yeah.
Fabulous, she said. Yeah, that was the Greg celebrating his birthday, man. You got to give it to him. He celebrates his birthday.
Well, that was kind of impromptu, just kind of spur of the moment, just kind of, you know.
And then David
One-
says, you and he share a birthday together.
Oh, cool. There's
He
a lot of
says,
people that are close to the second, third, fourth, yeah, of February. Yeah. Who was it?
A guy named David. I couldn't
Um,
see his last name. And he says he didn't see his shadow either.
no, it was overcast too.
And Michelle Lovett says, "Great show with Otto. I hope someone made you special brownies, Craig.
No, just gummies and cookies.
Just gummies and cookies, huh? You didn't OD on the cookies and the gummies
No, no.
because he's got blood in his THC stream." Uh, you remember that person that mentioned the "Hey Jude" by Wilson Pickett? Somebody says Dwayne Allman played the guitar on that. Now I was going to go listen to that because I haven't heard it, so now I got to go listen to that. So Dwayne Allman played guitar for Wilson Pickett on doing the "Hey Jude."
God, I
Huh.
didn't know that,
I
huh?
didn't either, so I'm gonna have to go listen to that unless I'm reading it wrong. But let's check that out. John Rafferty says he thinks Skynyrd management would love for everyone to forget about the survivors. They make money off the plane crash. That's part of the legend. Yeah, that's basically what Gene says. That's the same thing Gene will agree with you on that there, John, because Gene says the band does not want anybody to think about the survivors. It's just bad. They want Gene says that they want everybody to think that they're still the original Skynyrd. As hard as that, because there's a lot of people that they don't even know. They just like Lynyrd Skynyrd music and they don't care. They probably even think there's a guy named Lynyrd. They just like Lynyrd Skynyrd
I think
music.
it's pretty cool actually that it's still like that. It's pretty cool.
Well, hey, as long as they're still selling shows out,
They
why
sound
would they
great, man.
stop?
I mean, it's not like they suck. They sound great,
Yeah, they
man.
sound really good. Well,
You
I
know,
mean,
Sparky and Damon, and
yeah,
um, it's hard to replace Billy Powell. Billy Powell was irreplaceable. I mean, that guy, Jiminy Christmas.
yeah. That's another thing about the
Listen
Lynyrd
to him
Skynyrd
do sound
story.
checks. My God, Billy Powell was incredible.
Yeah, and here he
And
was a roadie.
Leon, man, he was just, all of them, every person in that band was just phenomenal, and it's
Oh, that's a cool picture behind you there.
yeah, there's Randall back there.
Yeah, is that Derek? Derek Hess?
No,
Who's that back behind beside
that's
Randall?
Custer. Custer and
Oh, I didn't recognize him. Yeah, okay.
Custer and Billy and Leon and Debbie
Oh, I didn't
Davis.
see
Debbie
Johnny down
Davis
there.
is under my chair there.
Yeah, I didn't see Johnny
Uh,
down there.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a cool picture. I don't think I've ever seen
Yeah,
that
I
picture.
just found that one. That's a kind of a new one. I have to.
Hmm.
There's Dale behind me.
Um, Andreas Lundell, a little bit extra on the Stoned Roadie show today, I guess. He's talking about you got a little extra stoned on the Stoned Roadie show. And David Hester says we should have hired a fat lady to come over and pop out of a cake at Craig's house. Didn't you have that happen one time, Craig, and you took the fat girl home?
No, that wasn't for me. Now I was with Marshall Tucker, and it was Billy Sherrill, I think, was the sound guy from Marshall Tucker. It was his birthday or something, and they hired a novelty stripper. And the thing was, you had to get in a chair and tie your hands behind your back and put a blindfold on you. and then she would strip, and then the stripper would come out and strip and get naked, and while you were blindfolded with the hands tied behind your back, so you couldn't grab out and reach out and grab her or nothing. So so I walked by and they said, "Hey, there's Craig. Hey, Craig, come in here. Craig will do it. Craig will do anything." So they said, "Sit down in that chair and we're going to blindfold you and put a hand behind your back or call it a stripper." I said, "Okay." So I did. But they had to, I kind of practiced trying to see out of a blindfold, so I kind of negotiated so I could kind of see under. I could see there was a big whatever was there was had through a big overcast,
A big shadow.
Yeah, you could tell it wasn't a toothpick.
Right.
Yeah, it was wide.
Well,
Yeah.
how big would you say she went on the hoof?
Oh, she was 450, bro, man.
Really?
Yeah, she
God.
was no, it's for 400. Yeah, she was a big woman, man. Yeah, she was a big woman. So yeah, so so the whole time I'm sitting there and she's telling me all this stuff she's gonna do and all this, and she finally gets down and to where she's stripping for all these guys, and while she's talking to me dirty and stuff. So then we finally get down to where she's naked, and we're supposed to take that blindfold off, and I'm supposed to freak out, but I could see, but kind of. So she took off the blindfold, and she's standing there. I goes, "Now do I get that blowjob?"
You couldn't I wonder if anybody can tell on the phone if somebody's fat by their voice.
No,
Yeah, I know.
that's weird, man.
I know,
That is
man.
weird. There's a person at my doctor's office. Oh, she sounds so sexy on the phone. Oh my God. You scare the warts off a damn frog's ass.
I know I had that happen to
Man.
me one time, Craig. I was talking to it's a long time ago before computers and everything, and I was talking to this lady at the electric company because they cut my power off, and I'd forgot to pay my bill, and so I was trying to get it cut back on, and she was so nice, and she was, "Oh, I'll try to help you," and I was like, "Man, she sounds so sexy," right? And I said, "Well, I'll just come down there and pay it in person," and she goes, "Yeah, that would be the best thing, and then you can meet me." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah," and then so I asked her.
MEAT.
And she goes, "I'm the third person on the counter, on the third person down." And I go, "All right." So I went down there and I walked in and I saw her, and she was at least 350 on the hoof there, Craig. And so I walked back out. I didn't need power that bad, man. I forget how I did it. Oh yeah, you could go to the post office and pay your bill, but but then they turn the power on the next day. But yeah, that
But
was
that's one of the best. I'll never forget that night. That was great night, man. I went out and partied with her actually.
yeah. And you took her
And,
home, didn't you?
no, well, across the room to Paul. But yeah, she took me across to all these illegals, and we smoked some angel dust, and I was tripping, man, with this big. And we finally ended up back in. We were somewhere in Texas, and we finally ended up back at this great big club down in Texas. There are cows and all this stuff, or the rodeo place. And guys with Marshall Tucker were in there. God, I was never so glad to see people in my life when I saw them people in it. I was tripping, man.
Yeah.
I was walking and my feet weren't even touching the ground. Oh boy.
Weren't you scared when you were going around with that fat girl that somebody would see you with her, and then they,
No,
because
I
it's
was
like
so high I didn't care.
Because a lot of guys say, and I wouldn't know because I never went out with a big fat girl like that, but a lot of guys say that it's like riding a moped, it's fun, but you don't want anybody to see you on it.
No. If I'd have been in my hometown, when I was out on the road like that, I didn't give a shit about nothing. None of them people I'd ever see in 44 years, so I didn't care what an asshole I acted like. I didn't. I'd never, when you're someplace where nobody there's ever going to see you again.
Why not just act
Why
any
not
way
just
you
let
want,
it all
right?
hang out, man? Just have
20
fun.
years from now, you'll never know it.
I mean,
That must be Gene's philosophy too, because he just damn sure don't give a shit.
no, if I was places I didn't give a shit, man. If I thought it, I said it, man. I mean, I'm never gonna see you people in 44 years. What I give a shit what I say.
Right.
And yeah.
Which goes to David Hester. He says, Craig, you need to put Griff's comment on a coffee cup that when he said, "I'm just a skinny man in a fat world." Well, we don't have Dave the Disciple anymore to do that, so.
Oh, Dave will be back. As soon as I send
man.
Dave all of his shit, he'll.
Then Kimmy wants me to sing you happy birthday. She wrote you a happy birthday song, 2 of them. And the first one goes, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I should have known that you're Aquarius too. Are you Aquarius?
Yeah, I'm Aquarius.
And then she says, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. If you run out of reefer, try snorting some glue. That's really good, Kimmy.
Happy birthday, Larry Neal and Rick Schoenberg too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they're friends of mine.
Okay. Shout out to, who was it again, Greg?
Larry Neal and Rick Schoenberg, yeah.
Is Larry Neal somebody I met? Because he sounds familiar.
Yeah, Larry. Yeah, Larry's one that comes over.
Oh, Larry. Okay. The one that's moving. The one that's moving.
Yeah, the one that's moving. My buddy that's moving.
Okay, thank you for that nice poetic writing there, Kimmy. And Craig appreciates that too, I'm sure.
Kimmy, I saw if that's your picture that you posted, and you're the blonde woman that's a little chubby. Yeah, you are a little chubby.
Well, you didn't screenshot
She said
it?
she was a little chubby. But yeah, you're right. You are a little chubby.
Well, that's from drinking that coffee cream. Back off that cream and you'll be all right there, Kimmy. And then Troy Gunter says, happy birthday, Craig. Hope to see you and Griff at the monument next year. I probably will go to the monument.
I plan on it. Yeah,
he's going tomorrow, I think, up there. And I told him, man, I said, God, Gene, you need to take a break on that driving, man. He's just out of control. He's out in the middle of the green swamp getting jumped by illegal immigrants. Good Lord.
I think I'm just going to fly down there and rent a car and drive there.
Yeah. That way, if you blow it up, you won't have to worry about paying for it. And Troy Gunter, I'm a roofing contractor. In Florida, all roofs must have a permit. Yeah, and you might need to get some permission, too, before you go jumping on somebody's roof at 5:45 in the morning and start stripping shingles. And let me tell you something, those Venezuelans don't mess around. They got 8 rows off the top of my peak of my roof in a matter of time for I could jump up out of my bed and run out the front door. They weren't messing around. Steve Pitt, Craig, why did Alan hate Molly Hatchet? And if so, is that why, or no, him trying to run into Dave Lubeck's Corvette, is that because he hated Molly Hatchet?
I don't know.
You don't know why he hated Molly Hatchet?
I don't think he hated Molly. I think that he knew that they were
Copycat band?
yeah, that they wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for him. And I think he thought that they didn't recognize that fact.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
First
you better
impression.
recognize the fact that you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me, you fat fuck.
Yeah. And then Gene tells a story about how Danny Joe Brown told Gene, and I've told this before, when they were at the restaurant eating, he goes, "Hey, watch whenever we get up to leave, Dave Lubeck, he'll act like he's got to go to the bathroom." And he says, "Now keep an eye on him, Gene, because what he's doing, he's coming back to take the tip money off the table." And then Gene's like, "Oh, yeah?" And then Gene went and hid around the corner and caught him doing it. And Gene said, "Put that money back, you son of a bitch." That's right out of
Dave
Gene's
was all
mouth.
right. Dave was all right. I've associated with Lubeck a few times when he was with Skinny Molly, with Mike Estes and Dave Lubeck. That was Molly.
Heck of a guitar player.
That was Molly Hatchet, yeah. Or
Yeah.
that was Skinny Molly, and yeah, I partied with Mike and Dave. Yeah, I got Mike shit for not calling me on my birthday. I called.
What'd you do? You called him?
I called him. I said, "I can't believe you didn't."
Did you leave a message, or did you actually
Oh,
talk
I
to
had to leave him a message. I can't believe you didn't call me on my birthday.
him? Oh, damn. Because he usually does.
Oh, he always does, yeah. So he wrote me. He goes, said something about he was somewhere he didn't have any internet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I believe it.
I guess yeah. Oh yeah, I said.
Yeah, he's very
that's why I
thankful
said
for
that's
you,
why I
man.
called you. I knew you'd have a good excuse.
Because he,
Oh, he always called, but
because you're,
I get people that always they never call me ever. On my birthday they call me, and because my birthday's on Groundhog's Day, so it's easy to remember. So
you're Mike Estes, Ed King.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because Ed King got you the job.
Yeah,
and you got Mike the job.
I was the connection. Yeah,
Yeah, you were the connection for him to get hooked up with Skynyrd.
yeah, I was the end. Yeah.
Here's a good question. Jeff comes up with a good one every now and then. He wants to know, Craig, where do you want to be buried? Next to the Skynyrd boys?
Oh, I'm gonna be cremated. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be buried. Yeah, I'm gonna be cremated. Yeah.
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 Where do you want your ashes scattered?
I don't want them scattered. I'm gonna put them in a genie bottle, like
Oh, yeah. You did tell me that before.
like
You're gonna
Leon. Yeah, I'll put them in a genie bottle.
Is that what Leon did?
Leon.
Oh, your
yeah,
dog, Leon. Oh, yeah. Leon Wilkerson was buried.
Leon. This Leon right here.
Is that Leon?
That's the first Leon. Yeah.
Yeah. After you offed him with the carbon monoxide hose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had somebody
That's
say, "I can't
Leon."
believe Craig did that." I can't believe we didn't get more comments on the fact
Oh,
that,
I know. Yeah.
that Craig
some
took
people
a
think that's
hose from his
awful.
exhaust and then put his dog to sleep with carbon monoxide and had it running in the bedroom. That's just crazy, man.
I'm mentally ill. I told you I got mental illness issues.
But
So
I
I just
Boston,
don't have the fat to be the kind that would make me content to be fat or obese.
that
I was obese at one time when I was mentally ill more than I am now. But I went, God, this is stupid to be
Brad Delp.
fat.
Remember Brad Delp of Boston?
Yeah, no, I don't never.
The lead singer of Boston.
I never cared for Boston.
He took a he took a little hibachi grill into the bathroom and taped all the doors shut, the cracks. So and then he left a note out in the garage that said, "Anybody coming in here, do not come in without letting the room air out first." He left all these specific instructions because he took a hibachi grill in the bathroom and just asphyxiated himself with that.
Wow.
Over something stupid too. It was like, I think he had a camera in his wife's sister's bedroom or something. I don't know. Somebody put it in the comments if you remember what happened, then I'll get the story straight. But I know a lot of people know that story. It's a terrible tragedy. The guy he must have had some problems other than that, but I mean,
I think today was
singer.
Ted Nugent's birthday.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
I think so. I saw something and he was his birthday.
And then you're talking about mental illness. With Tom Garrett said that his wife had a lot of mental illness, and it was a very scary thing to go through. And there's a lot more to it than you know, Craig. So that whole pretending like you're mentally ill is bullshit. He didn't say that. I did.
I've been accused of it. At least one of my wives said I was mentally ill.
Yeah, that is. I could see where they would say that. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
She said I was mentally ill.
And Joe Mueller, Griff, you think they would leave a flyer on your door the day before, or at least ring the doorbell before? Yeah, you'd think they would do that there, Joe. I mean, just jump on a guy's roof. And Gene said, I'd have heard that ladder hit the eave of the house, and I'd already had my gun trained on them. And I said, I don't know about that, Gene. Those guys, man, they can climb on that roof without a ladder, those guys, the way I seen them. Because when I went up there to look at the roof to see how bad it was, I was like a scared cat.
Do you think he'll ever start on somebody else's roof again without ringing the doorbell?
I don't know, man. They're pretty ballsy. They didn't act like they gave a shit, really. No,
I had Mexicans put the roof on my house, I don't know how many years ago. Man, they were good, man.
Yeah, they are good. They can do it in a day.
They cleaned up good. You know, they were.
Yeah, they actually, you know, I mean, they're just people, man. Just
there's
like
a lot of
that.
I think I had 3 layers on my roof, man. That's a lot of damn shingles they have.
That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight on your roof. Yeah, and they fixed it right back, and they were out of here. And just as long as I get my roof back now, I did have some pain and suffering, man, and I am a little pissed off that company ever contacted me, but I don't know, man. The best thing to do is just forget about it. I've got a little post-traumatic stress over the whole thing. It was just scary as shit, man. And then I thought, you know, everything was cool. And then Gene calls me, says he's getting beat up by some damn illegal immigrants. And then I started getting more. That PTSD was coming back. Oh, Jeff, he says, you know what else Jeff says is that he says, Otto wrinkled the ticket in that bag, and you could feel the wrinkled ticket when you drew it out for that guitar. What the hell is that? Is that?
That's my first Leon when I first got him, and a soccer ball.
Oh. That's how little he was.
And my first Leon, yeah. This is my Leon museum up here on my desk on this side.
Yeah, so anyway, Jeff says that Otto wrinkled that ticket.
Oh,
that's
bullshit.
How you felt it. Yeah, that's how you felt it.
I reached in there, reached right down in. After he shook the bag, I reached right down in and grabbed the first one and pulled it up. I didn't.
You said, "Is this it? Is this it? Is this you? Is this you?" And then you grabbed
I
it, and then it
just
was,
reached right down in the right to the middle and pulled it out. I didn't do this.
yeah, it was. You could see.
I don't think I did that. I don't think I did that. I just reached right down there and grabbed one.
Well, it was on video. I played it on the last podcast, so it looks pretty good to me.
I
I
tried
think
to
it was
do
pretty damn. I think Otto back then. Otto was throwing. We pulled up to a red light, and we were in there with Otto, and there was this kids. They were like not even really teenagers. I mean, they were barely teenagers, and they were black kids on the west side of Jacksonville, and it was me and Otto, and I think most of Six Gun was in the car, and they were collecting money for a basketball team or a football team, and Otto reaches in his wallet and hands out 100 and hands it to him, and I was like, damn. I was like, that's some pretty crazy shit, and so
he works with.
so he
It was for a football thing. He works with kids and football. And
yeah.
stuff.
So anyway, point is that he could afford back then. I don't know how he's doing now, but he could afford to buy 4 or 5 of those tickets to put in there and make the odds a little better.
He's always pulling money. He's kind of like Gene thinks I am. I got money buried in my yard or something.
Yeah.
He must have money buried in jars somewhere. He keeps pulling it out.
And that concludes the comments and the questions. And you guys stick around for a little Gene Odom. It's just a little video of Gene. You get to see Gene. And when we were out fishing, Gene loved my boat, man. He goes, this damn thing, because that boat starts right up, man. I hit the key. I just barely hit the key, and whoom, it's a 1978 70-horse Mercury 2-stroke engine, and it sounds like a brand new engine, and Gene was just amazed. And the boat, Bad Company 2, TOO, there they go. Okay, Gary and Johnny.
It's Gary and Johnny. Here's Gary and Johnny.
So now they're all right, now they're okay. Everything's cool.
Gary and Johnny.
And then I had Gene sign my boat. I said, man, go ahead and sign my boat, And so he signed
Oh, you
it.
had Gene sign your boat?
Yeah, I got to get you to sign it next.
Well, you rebuilt that boat. You got that boat. It's like everything. You get them and you fix them all up, and you redid all the wood in it and everything.
Yeah, and then I did a lot of work at my house because that's what I do. I get houses and I fix them and I sell them. I live in them while I fix them and then I sell them. Not necessarily me doing the work, but hire it out. And what I can do, I will. I am disabled. But, yeah, so Gene saw some of the stuff I did, man, at my house, and he goes, man, I can't believe it. But about another 3-4 months, I'll put it up for sale and go somewhere else. So that's the end of the comments, questions, Craig, and we can wrap it up, and you guys stick around and watch Gene catch a bass.
All right. Well, Trump's mugshot.
That's Trump in court.
Happy, yeah.
We might get monetized on this one. We stop while we're ahead.
Yeah. What is that thing? Happy trails to you until we meet again. What was the other one?
See you later, alligator. The other one.
Yeah, don't happy trails to you. It's what is it? Shit.
It's just. I don't know. Maybe you are mentally ill.
I am mentally ill. I have mental illness. Yeah, but yeah. What the hell? Oh, well, anyways, I can't come up with it. Yeah, happy trails to you until we meet again, and see you later, alligator, at the Wild Crocodile. And that was podcast 282, and Wake and Bake the Morning Buzz, episode 153. We're going to call that a wrap and cut.
All right, out here on Lake Ned, it's Monday. I believe it's the 4th. Ain't it the 4th, Gene?
Pretty close.
Yeah, so Gene and I are sitting out here. I got a bobber out there with a shiner on it, and I got a worm right here. Gene, you was using a spinner bait or a worm, Gene?
Old black worm.
Using a black worm. And we're seeing a lot of surface action.
Look at him over there.
Yeah, there they go again over there. Something over there really tearing it up. You think I need to move over there, Gene?
Tell you what, we might have to.
Man.
Shiner in there. Don't got worm in there. If your shiner's gone, ain't he?
Nah, he's still in there, but
Well, I see the court.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move the boat over there. So.
Yeah, we can move over there. If that shiner goes under right quick, I'll put one on.
All right. Gene got a little action on his bobber over here. We put a shiner over there where we saw a little ruckus going on. And Gene, you say Ronnie ain't ever did any shiner fishing, just worms mainly, huh?
With me, we only did it once or twice, you know.
Yeah.
Worms, topwater rapellas, he loved rapella. Old black worm. He used it on a monster worm. I mean, Jim Bagley's old monster worm. He used purple, and I used black.
That may be why there was some rapellas in that box, even.
It's possible. Like I told you, that's probably. I'm 99% sure that's the box that was in bad company.
Yeah.
For Ronnie and
Makes
Gary.
sense.
Yeah.
Since you said that, you know, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
You got one, Gene?
Yeah. I just took that joint off.
You me get the net? Oh, that's a nice one, man. Hold that sucker up, man. Let me get Gene Odom on here. You beat me.
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep toking until then.